The day after our divorce, Lucas took his own life. Ours was a marriage of convenience, devoid of love, even after having twins to fulfill family expectations. When my supposed soulmate appeared, I resolutely filed for divorce. Hadn't we promised to set each other free? He signed the papers without hesitation. At his funeral, yellowed love letters from our youth spilled open before me, desperate teenage confessions I'd never seen. His mother whispered through tears, "Sophia, please come say goodbye. I swear we'll never bother you again." I collapsed in a room plastered with surveillance, like photos of myself, me pregnant. Me leaving with luggage, each frame documenting my obliviousness. When I woke in our marital bed again, newlywed Lucas was storming off to the study. This time, I grabbed his waist. Really leaving? In the previous timeline, I'd been boarding a flight to Sydney when the call came. Mrs. Hayes begged through sobs, "Sophia, please come say goodbye. I swear we'll never bother you again." The body showed wrist scars and old self-harm marks. During 5 years of marriage, I'd never noticed his severe depression. He divided assets fairly despite my protests. That last meeting as emotionless as our union. Now his corpse clutched our wedding ring, the same band he'd carelessly slipped on my finger years ago. Funeral staff couldn't pry it loose. "I'd hoped marrying you would help." Mrs. Hayes wept. "He'd loved you since high school." From the Hayes family's perspective, this was a decades-long unrequited love. To me, a corporate merger between Collins Group and Hayes Family Enterprises. The cold air had restructured my father's company within 2 years. Our interactions limited to boardroom politeness. His mother claimed Lucas believed I resented him and our accidental twins. I remembered early attempts at intimacy, waiting up with warm milk only to be dismissed. "We have staff for this." My bare feet on marble tiles as he walked away. The secret study alcove shocked me most, blackout curtains. Surveillance-style photos tracking my every move from adolescence to departure. A rusted box held poetic letters documenting a teenager's tortured crush. "He never wanted the children to chain you," Mrs. Hayes said, handing me the whiskey I'd later drink while staring at my own frozen smiles on the walls. The medical examiner ruled it chronic depression. "No blame," they said. "Move on," they said. I wanted to scream curses at Lucas. That bastard. Why did he have to kill himself right when I decided to abandon everything? Couldn't he have timed his damn suicide better? Even abandoned our child. This made me certain he did it on purpose, to punish me for leaving. To shackle me with guilt for the rest of my miserable life. The moment this realization hit, I smashed my wine bottle against the wall and drunkenly rebooked my flight to Australia. Screw him. For over a decade, I traveled the world using his money, blissfully in love with my soulmate Nathan. I flaunted our adventures on social media with vicious glee, tropical beaches, Parisian sunsets, every post screaming how perfect my life was without Lucas. His friends and even my parents called me heartless for never visiting his grave or caring for our child. Let them talk. If Lucas could abandon his own flesh and blood, why shouldn't I? Then came that hiking trip to Mount Shasta. The storm came out of nowhere, among dozens taking shelter under the pines. That lightning bolt chose me. As darkness swallowed me, I almost laughed. Maybe God finally decided to punish this unrepentant wife and mother. Waking up in my wedding dress at Hayes Manor felt like cruel déjà vu. Pink drapes I'd chosen, gardenias blooming outside, everything identical to that cursed night. There stood Lucas, pristine in his tailored Armani suit, lecturing me with that infuriating boardroom voice. "This is purely a business arrangement. Ms. Collins. Feel free to take lovers whenever." The chandelier's glow caught his stupidly perfect jawline. Before he could finish, I crushed my lips against his cheek, leaving a crimson stain. "Really, Mr. Hayes? You want to discuss separation on our wedding night?" He fled to his study like a startled rabbit, ears burning red. So different from the cold CEO who'd ignored me for months after our marriage. For 3 months. He kept avoiding me. Let him play hard to get. Having lived through this before, I knew his tells. That blushing mess was the same boy whose mother once whispered he's loved you since prep school. Bullshit. What kind of love was this? When I showed up at Hayes Corporation with lunch, his assistant beamed. Mrs. Hayes. What a surprise. Ms. Collins. I corrected sharply. The way the man scrambled to fetch Lucas made me wonder, did the whole company know about his pathetic crush? The old me would have preened. Now I just watched the elevator numbers climb, planning how to break his icy shell. This time, I'd make Lucas regret ever proposing that stupid business marriage contract. The occasional incidents involved Lucas getting drunk or being surrounded by admirers, prompting his secretary to call me to retrieve him. Later, when we agreed to a divorce, Lucas instructed his secretary to handle asset division. The secretary looked defeated, hesitating multiple times before asking, Mrs. Hayes, are you truly divorcing Mr. Hayes? Could you give him another chance? Back then, I was too disillusioned to notice his implication. Now, with Mrs. Hayes living remotely, perhaps only this secretary knew Lucas's past. I tapped the desk, probing. When did your boss develop depression? The secretary froze while making coffee. What are you doing here? Lucas appeared suddenly, breathing heavily with stormy eyes darting between us. The secretary fled. I smiled brightly, taking his hand, bringing lunch for my husband. He recoiled like he was burned. Stop this. Our marriage is transactional. His scowling face was really asking for a punch. Aren't you my husband then? I countered. His neck flushed as he fell silent. I mentally rolled my eyes. Sometimes I hated his silence. Sometimes his sharp tongue. If not for his previous life's suicide, I wouldn't bother humoring him. In his office, Lucas sat rigidly before floor-to-ceiling windows, pretending to work. The emptied lunchbox sat beside Olivia's glaringly obvious contract. For 30 minutes, I'd tried conversing, but he kept shutting me down. Resting my chin in my hands, I sighed. Lucas, I genuinely want this marriage to work, but your constant rejection makes me feel unwanted. If you love someone else, let's divorce now. His knuckles whitened around his teacup. If that's your wish, I'll have the secretary. Suffocating. Just like last life. I stormed out, then caught myself. Would he kill himself again post-divorce? Make me die guilt-ridden? Returning, I found the secretary pacing anxiously, thrusting a first aid kit at me. He begged, Ms. Collins, please check on him. This time, Lucas had self-harmed before divorce papers. The silent office amplified my curiosity. What trauma made him hide even his pain? Crouched in a corner, the 6 feet 3 inches man had rolled up sleeves revealing bloody wrist gashes. He flinched when my shadow fell over him, hiding his arm. Sophia, don't hate me, he whispered. Taking his blade, I cleaned his wounds as he tried pulling away. Don't touch, dirty. Meeting his red-rimmed eyes, I asked softly, doesn't this hurt? He stayed silent. The room fell deathly silent in an instant. Before he could react, I pressed another kiss to his forehead, murmuring softly, I'm your wife. Whatever's troubling you, you can tell me. Why do you always think I hate you? I cupped his face, staring into those frightened damp eyes. Lucas, I've never hated you. You're the one who keeps pushing me away. You drove me off. And now you're hurting yourself like this. We're married. Why can't you just talk to me? He ducked his head, full lips trembling, presenting only that flawless pale forehead as his fists clenched his dress slacks. Perfect, the freshly bandaged wound had reopened. Resigned, I reached for the gauze again. They said, you didn't want to marry me. That you tried to run away. His whisper hung between us. So that's why he thought I despised him. Meeting his evasive gaze, I insisted. No woman wants to marry a stranger. Look at me, Lucas. Don't hide. I married you. Didn't I? I'm your wife. I keep trying to reach you. To understand you. But you reject me every time. Lucas. Do I mean nothing to you? His eyes glistened with unshed tears. You're just resigned to this now. What choice did you leave me? The words slipped out before I could stop them. He froze. Anguish swimming in those liquid eyes as he bit his trembling lip. Cursing my carelessness. I focused on redressing his wound. The air thickened with tension and his intoxicating cedarwood scent. Netizens raved about Lucas, wealthy, devastatingly handsome, impeccably built, yet mysteriously celibate. Any woman who lands him must have been a saint in a past life. They claimed. Yet here he crouched before me like a wounded fawn, all vulnerable allure and trembling lashes. Had my previous attempts to please him been entirely forced? I'd been willing to build a life with him. Marrying this Adonis was hardly a sacrifice. I didn't mean, I began. Just as he whispered, I'm ashamed. His admission startled me. Ashamed? Of trapping you here through selfishness. Of being too cowardly to face you. Then why do it? Why insist on marrying me? Scarlet bloomed across his cheekbones as he twisted his suit jacket hem. The answer struck me suddenly. Because you love me. Slowly uncurling his clenched fist. I traced the elegant fingers that belonged on marble statues. You should know your worth, Lucas. With looks like this, my thumb brushed his knuckles. What woman could resist you? The temperature plummeted. So my face made you settle? His voice turned arctic. When marrying a stranger. My laugh sounded brittle. The packaging certainly helped. I found myself abruptly ejected from his penthouse. He promised no more self-harm. Baffled by what nerve I'd struck. I cursed his mercurial temperament, then remembered his actual diagnosis. My anger dissolved as quickly as it came. Outside Collins Group headquarters, I collided with their newest star signing. Olivia floated past in mint green silk. The internet's darling, America's sweetheart. My stomach dropped. No one knew this living doll had been the final wedge in my previous divorce from Lucas. Or that she was my half-sister. Few in our circle knew this story. Before marrying Lucas, I did try to run away from the wedding. I barely made it to the airport before my mother's people dragged me back. My mother, an alpha career woman who co-managed Collins Group with my father externally, yet remained a traditional wife enduring her husband's infidelity for her daughter's sake internally. Though my father cheated, they maintained their unspoken pact against divorce, claiming it was to preserve our family for me. Their love for me wasn't false. Yet these same people subjected my childhood to endless screaming matches. I'd huddle in corners clutching my doll as they shattered vases and hurled insults, only to reset like nothing happened by morning. Growing up in this emotional war zone left me torn between guilt over chaining my mother to this misery and developing a contradictory personality, both rebellious and timid. Rebellious yet timid. After my failed escape, my father planned to send Olivia as substitute bride instead, both being his daughters. And the Hayes family never specified which one they wanted. But when my mother found me crying at the airport, her teardrops melted my resolve instantly. Do you want that woman to laugh at us? She pleaded. What's wrong with Lucas? Good character. Stellar family. No playboy tendencies. Sophia. Marriage isn't about passion. When you're my age, you'll understand love fades. Men change. Only shared interests endure. Sudden snow swirled outside the terminal windows. My shaky exhale bloomed into frosty vapor as I whispered. So if I marry him, you'll be happy? Fine. Mom. Last compromise. Yet in my past life, Playing the dutiful wife to Lucas brought no rewards. He remained indifferent despite my efforts until Olivia appeared. For her, he broke every rule. Rushed to film sets when she faced difficulties. Sat front row at every award show. Our marriage stayed hidden even after children arrived, mere stakeholder glue for family corporations. Only when netizens began shipping them as the perfect couple did reality hit. Perhaps Olivia had been his intended choice all along. The irony choked me. Too cowardly to confront him, I filed for divorce immediately. I refused to sacrifice myself like Mom did, or let my children inherit this toxic cycle. Better they resent me than repeat our family's sickness. Countless nights watching Mom cry alone. I'd think, if she'd abandoned me, she could have been free, happy, lost in these memories. I barely noticed Lucas's assistant waving frantically. Ms. Collins. Mr. Hayes invites you to dinner. Still drowning in past anguish. I snapped red-eyed, unless he begs personally. Forget it. I'm not some puppet on his strings. The assistant paled. Please. He's terrified of facing you. You know about his condition when depressed. He actually. Grabbing my purse. I shrugged. Then tell me why. When did his depression start? Can't treat symptoms without knowing roots. Yet even when facing Lucas across the restaurant later, I couldn't reconcile it, this impeccably dressed gentleman with perfect manners. Victimized by bullying? Then again, everyone carries hidden fractures. The assistant finally relented after much coaxing, leaking only this much. Miss Sophia. Mr. Lucas has endured great hardships these years. But he never gave up loving you. Please don't blame him, he simply doesn't know how to interact with you properly. Seeing me approach, Lucas became rigid again, all limbs turning awkward. Just as the assistant said, he wasn't avoiding me but genuinely clueless about communication. After a prolonged silence, he pushed a velvet box across the table, a dazzling diamond necklace inside. An apology gift? My gaze fell on the wedding band encircling my left ring finger. Though crafted from equally precious stones, its craftsmanship appeared slightly crude. Not masterwork quality, yet distinctly handmade. A bold suspicion bloomed. I remembered our wedding day when he'd casually slipped that ring onto my finger. Fresh irritation surged through me. This necklace, including my wedding ring, you made these yourself, didn't you? After all this preparation, Lucas, why don't you finally tell me, when did you first fall for me? His teacup clattered as scarlet flooded his cheeks. Those long lashes dipped downward, refusing to meet my stare. I seized his trembling hand, laughter bubbling up. Why so nervous? We're married. You can say anything to me. Leaning closer, I pressed. Tell me, what angered you today? Don't make me keep guessing your thoughts. Lucas. It exhausts me. He bit his lip until the skin broke. Vulnerability bleeding through. If I looked different, the words choked him. Ugly. Perhaps, would you still have married me? Would you still indulge me? My brows knitted as I studied his face, the aristocratic nose. Sculpted jawline. Eyes deeper than midnight. Did you get plastic surgery? No. The denial erupted too forcefully. Crimson spreading to his ears. Never. Honestly. His insecurities baffled me. Conventional attractiveness should be an asset, not a source of shame. After swallowing a few steak bites, I exhaled sharply. Before you, I'd never dated. Never even fancied any man. His head snapped up, hope igniting those dark irises. Truth. I twirled my wine glass. My parents were childhood sweethearts who built their empire from nothing. Yet their love still turned to ashes. My smile turned wry. Without society's pressure for this marriage, I'd likely have remained single forever. So stop making me decipher you. I'm terrible at reading men. Meeting his gaze squarely, I continued, "What I can promise is this, as your wife. I'm fully committed. I don't know if this is love, but growing old together in mutual care sounds beautiful. Doesn't it?" His hopeful expression dimmed slightly at my clinical tone. Remembering Olivia's recent meddling, my voice hardened. "But if you ever stray..." "I won't." Lucas gripped my wrist, intensity bordering on madness. "If that day comes, let me die." "Which scenario?" I arched a brow. "Me leaving or you cheating?" The answer hung obvious between us. Biting back memories of our past life's tragic end, his death. My lightning-struck demise, I changed tactics. As our car navigated twilight streets, he leaned over to fasten my seatbelt. His citrus cologne enveloped me, those absurdly long lashes fluttering centimeters from my face. Impulsively, I pecked his cheek. Some psychologists said kissing strengthens bonds. Right? He froze, throat bobbing. "Buckle properly," he rasped, knuckles whitening on the steering wheel. Chuckling, I settled back. The rearview mirror caught his suppressed smile, a rare, genuine curve of lips that lit his entire being. After that day, Lucas softened his attitude toward me. He started talking more and didn't shy away from my touch. We became inseparable, yet he still insisted on sleeping in separate rooms. He claimed I didn't truly love him, I'd simply resigned myself to fate. Though baffled by his logic, I respected his choice. Still, I couldn't help admiring his broad shoulders and tapered waistline. Months later, my assistant called in a breathless mix of panic and excitement. "Ms. Sophia, come quick. Mr. Lucas, It took me minutes to untangle her frantic words. Lucas had been in a car accident, minor concussion. But complications arose from being drugged at a business dinner. You've no idea how many women scheme after him," she hissed before shoving me into his hotel suite. "Save him." The déjà vu hit hard. Our first time in the previous life happened under similar circumstances, him drugged. Me half reluctant. Neither certain who initiated. But that felt lifetimes away now. I found Lucas submerged in an ice bath. Dress shirt clinging to defined muscles. Bandaged head lolling against the tub. His lips parted in feverish murmurs, "Don't go, stay," when I leaned closer. His eyes snapped open. He seized my wrist with startling ferocity before recognition softened his gaze. Drying his hair after wrestling him from the tub, I noticed his dazed expression. "Why?" he rasped, biting his swollen lip. "Are you so kind to me?" I checked his temperature. Bewildered. Had the crash addled his mind? Is this a dream? His trembling fingers traced my jawline. Eyes glistening with fragile hope. This fragile vulnerability contradicted the man who'd recently begun smiling openly, blushing at my jokes. Now he radiated dark intensity, crushing me against his lap while nuzzling my forehead. "You're not pushing me away." The chaste kiss he planted on my lips left me breathless. Then he tucked me into bed like a treasured doll, falling asleep while clutching my hand. I didn't know what I'd expected. Moonlight revealed him watching me vigilantly, inhaling his familiar cedar scent. I straddled him impulsively, remembering how I'd initiated things last life. How he'd avoided me until my mother intervened about needing heirs. Those brief months of shared warmth before Olivia appeared. Tung or Tantan? I nipped his flushed ear during our rhythm. A question I'd bottled for years. The homophones could easily confuse. "Sophia," he growled, slamming me deeper into the mattress. "Wife." My heart soared, missing how his eyes frosted over mid-thrust. He kept his promise next morning, personally arranging my return home while vowing to join me for dinner. The chauffeur didn't notice Lucas's knuckles whitening on the car door, his parting glance lingering like a storm cloud. I thought he had finally come to his senses. But then, that night I received news of his suicide attempt. He'd tried to kill himself again. This time, His assistant was genuinely sobbing over the phone. Beyond shock. I couldn't comprehend it. Hadn't everything been getting back on track? Surveillance footage showed Lucas' last visitor was Olivia. Sitting in my Maybach. I watched two explosive hashtags dominate Twitter trends: Olivia terminates contract and Hayes family heir revealed as illegitimate son. The timing was too coincidental to ignore. In our circles, illegitimate children might be scandalous but rarely consequential. Given Lucas' current influence, these rumors shouldn't have shaken him. I asked the assistant, why did Olivia suddenly break ties with Hayes Corporation? Olivia was smart and driven. After signing, Hayes had poured resources into her career. It was mutually beneficial. As their rising star, Lucas protecting her made sense. Or so I told myself. The assistant stammered. Actually, Lucas initiated the contract termination today. He paid the penalty himself. The hospital reeked of antiseptic. Discovered early. Lucas had been rushed into surgery. When they wheeled him out, his pallid face contrasted sharply with the blood-stained bandages around his wrist. His arms bore a patchwork of self-inflicted scars. Broken. That's the only word fitting him, a soul teetering on collapse. I traced his gaunt cheekbones. Lucas. What demons haunt you? But sentiment aside, he needed consequences. When he awoke, I wordlessly summoned nurses to change his floor, mechanically feeding him sips of water while maintaining icy silence. By evening, desperation cracked his composure. He tore at his bandages, fresh blood blooming, but I calmly called nurses to redress the wounds, watching him unravel. Sophia, his cracked lips trembled. Are you abandoning me again? I fluffed his pillow without meeting his eyes. Cruel? Perhaps. Necessary? Absolutely. When his frantic clawing split fingernails, bloody tears mixing with actual ones, I finally spoke. You never intended to build a life with me. He flinched, gaze darting like a cornered animal. Let's divorce. No. He tumbled from the bed, clutching my sleeve with bloodied hands. Please. My frown deepened as he ripped out his four. Look at you. Can't even care for yourself. How could you ever parent our child? Hope flashed in his hollow eyes as he stared at my flat stomach. Not pregnant. It's been 1 day. My voice hardened. With this self-destructive streak, you're unfit to protect a family. The bitter truth hung between us. We'd failed as parents in our past lives too. Lucas. I genuinely want to build a life with you. As you can see, I've never truly cared for any man before. Nor do I know how to please one, always fumbling through it. But you're different to me. Not just because you're my husband. I knelt down, cradling his tear-streaked face. So tell me, what are you really afraid of? Why did you attempt suicide the moment Olivia left? Why do you keep thinking I despise you? He clutched my hand desperately against his cheek. Sophia, no. Please don't divorce me. I dried his tears with a resigned sigh. I'm your wife. What couldn't you share with me? Even Olivia, an outsider, knows things I don't. Lucas. This makes me feel disrespected. His Adam's apple bobbed nervously as he met my gaze with fearful eyes. I'm like her. A bastard child. What of it? Does that matter? He buried his face deeper. You hate her because she's illegitimate. What twisted logic? My dislike for her has nothing to do with you. Do you really think I'd condemn every illegitimate child over this? Suddenly, realization struck. Did Olivia never tell you she's my half-sister through our father? Do you honestly believe I'd embrace the daughter of the woman who broke my mother's heart? If anything, I'm restraining myself from making her life difficult. Lucas stared at me wide-eyed. I guided him back to the hospital bed, brushing my lips against his. Tell me, what else did Olivia say to you? When I was younger, I'd briefly befriended Olivia without knowing her true parentage. Our shared classroom? My father's orchestrated attempt to foster sibling bonds, a plan my mother inevitably discovered, sparking explosive arguments. Naturally, I severed ties. You're my father's bastard daughter. We can never be friends. Undoubtedly, Lucas had uncovered part of this story through those framed photos in the study annex. Olivia's showbiz career required airtight secrecy about her origins, the Collins Group's reputation demanded it. Hence Lucas only grasped half-truths. She demanded industry resources to secure her Best Actress campaigns. Threatened to expose my bastard status to the media otherwise, to make you loathe me. I inhaled sharply. You, a Fortune 500 CEO, let some D-list actress blackmail you? He flinched but maintained his death grip on my arm. The same Lucas who'd tamed Hayes Corporation's old guard within 2 years now trembled like a cornered fawn. Not only capitulating to extortion but spiraling into self-destruction, it defied reason. He suddenly crushed me against his chest. I thought you'd find my bloodline repulsive. Sophia, I saw visions, memories of our past life where you divorced me over her. I caused you pain I deserved. Gently smoothing his disheveled hair. I interrupted. You think bastardy defines you? Listen to me, Lucas. Tilting his chin up. I locked eyes with him. Our birth circumstances aren't choices, they're accidents of fate. What matters is who we become through our own actions. Intertwining our fingers. I continued. You've built an empire respected by all, including my mother at Collins Group. Your capabilities have earned every accolade. Lucas, not some heir, but the man who transformed Hayes Corporation, that's who you are. You're worthy of love because you've proven yourself. Not through lineage. His damp lashes lifted, revealing vulnerable hope. I know what he wanted to ask. But that question, I still can't find an answer. I've always believed that enduring familial bonds are worth nurturing more than passionate romances. Trends fade. Stones crumble. But the ebb and flow of tides, the rotation of stars, these are the true constants of the universe. I went to see Olivia. Not that I initiated the meeting, I leaked her tax evasion scandal myself, leaving her semi-blacklisted in the industry. With her new drama shelved and facing astronomical breach penalties, she had no choice but to come. How strange. My father doted on her, shielding her when she entered the entertainment world. Yet when I moved against her, he didn't lift a finger. Sophia, what exactly are you trying to achieve? In the dim cafe light, her face hid beneath layers of fabric, only bloodshot eyes visible. The domino effect after the tax scandal had unleashed endless exposes about her must have been rough lately. Shouldn't I be asking you that? I stirred my coffee. Getting close to Lucas. Did you think I wouldn't see through your scheme? My father could have easily secured resources to make you an award-winning actress. Why target Lucas specifically? Olivia bit her lip. Why shouldn't I? We're both his daughters. Yet I've been the shameful secret since birth while you got everything, even first dibs on this perfect marriage. Take that up with your mother and father. They could have ended their previous marriages properly before starting anew. I grimaced slightly at my own harshness. Not that I approve, but at least it would have been honest. You hate me? But I'm your sister. Dad said we're family. And Lucas? He's a bastard child too. Born from an affair. How can you live with him so easily? My spoon clinked sharply against the porcelain. Don't you dare compare his mother to yours. Mrs. Hayes was deceived. And when she realized the affair, she left everything behind to live in remorse. Your mother? I remembered the weathered woman from my past life, Mrs. Hayes, who aged decades prematurely after Lucas' suicide. Once a brilliant scholar, destroyed by public shaming over some man's lies. As for hating you, sister, my laugh held no warmth. I did have a real sister once. When you were sick as a child, your mother kept calling my father away. My mother miscarried at 6 months, a baby girl. Olivia, how could I possibly like you? We'll never be family. nor even friends. I stood, coat swirling. Direct your blame elsewhere. Next time, it won't be just tax fraud. Remember, we don't choose our birth, but we choose how to live. My mother's marriage failed, but she built an empire. She raised me well, didn't she? In the 4th year of my marriage to Lucas, we finally conceived twins again after being extremely cautious. We both made mistakes in that previous life, but now we're determined to be better parents. Yet as my due date approaches, Lucas grows increasingly tense, shadows gathering around him like our early days. The answer came when author Nathan's award-winning works resurfaced in public discourse. Suddenly, I understood the source of his unease. In my previous life when I divorced Lucas, the reason I gave was that I had fallen in love with someone who understood me better than anyone else in the world. His name was Nathan. I chuckled dryly, tapping his forehead. What do you think I've been doing all those days typing away on my laptop while keeping you company at work? Lucas stared blankly. A lone sail on the distant horizon. Every time I huddled helplessly in corners listening to those bone-chilling arguments, only words could soothe my suffocating despair. How I wished to drift like a solitary leaf boat, untethered and free, to seek refuge in writing Nathan, the pen name I'd created for myself. My mother's maiden name was Bennett. Nathan became my literary alter ego. Now we find ourselves in the same boat, weathering storms together. Let these turbulent waters carry our rest of life through rivers and seas.